Okay, so let's do the last example. Now this one is going to be an income and expenses budget together, which is it's really common to do it that way. If you wanted to do a personal budget, this is the way you would do it. And this is pretty much what this type of question is. So let's read through it. So Karen earns $610 a week after tax. She rents a furnished unit with a friend and her share of the rent is $350 per fortnight, which remember is 2 weeks. She spends about $210 a week on food, household items, and toiletries. She catches the train to work each weekday and pays $4.90 for a return ticket. The power bills cost about $280 a quarter. Remember, there are 4 quarters in the year, and each quarter consists of 3 months. And she pays half of this. Karen estimates that she spends $310 a month on clothes. Draw up a weekly budget. So that's really key here, weekly budget, and work out how much she can save in a year if she sticks with this budget. So whenever you are doing a budget, it's really important that you write the time frame in the title. So weekly budget, always write a time frame, because a budget can be done on any time frame. So you must specify what that is at the top. So always write a time frame. Now, with an income and expenses budget, you always start with income and then you take the expenses away from it, because often the goal is to find out what is left from your income after you've paid for everything you need to. So in this case, the income is $610. It tells us that in the question. The expenses in this case, we're going to have to do some calculations. So again, we want weekly expenses, and not all of the amounts we've been quoted are in weekly terms, so we're going to have to do some conversions. Okay, so let's just work through them as they appear in the question. So the first expense was rent. Now, it quotes an amount per fortnight, which remember is 2 weeks, so we need to divide that by 2 to figure out how much it's going to be per week, $175 per week. Food and other items has already been quoted in a weekly amount, so we can put that straight into our budget. There is train fare. Now it says she pays $4.90 per return trip, so that's there and back, and she goes to work full time. So each weekday, that's Monday to Friday, $24.50, 5 days. We've got power. Now the power is quoted per quarter and she only pays half of it. So she's got $280 per quarter divided by 2 because she only pays a half. And we need to divide that further by 12 because there are approximately 12 weeks in 1 quarter. So a quarter is 3 months. And we assume, for the purposes of a budget that we're working with here, that there is 4 weeks in every month. Obviously, that's not exactly correct, but that's a pretty standard assumption made under budget. So that means there would be 12 weeks in each quarter. So that's why we divide further by 12. Plus, then, there is clothes. Now, it says she pays $310 a month. So again, we're going to assume there's 4 weeks in the month and divide that by 4. So the total amount that she is going to pay, if we add all that up, is $498.67. However, we really don't want those cents. We would round it up to the next whole dollar. I would probably even round this up to 500 realistically, because it is approximates to one extent. But let's go to $499 for now. So the income is $610. The expenses are $499. So what we can now do is calculate the weekly savings. So calculate the weekly savings, which is what it asks us to do in the question. If we go back, how much can she save in a year? So first thing, I'll calculate the weekly savings because we've got a weekly budget. So that's going to be our income amount minus our expenses, or $111 per week. We can use this to calculate our yearly savings. If we remember, and we need to, that there are 52 weeks in a year. So 5,772 is the amount of money it says she can save in a year. Now, it also asks us, well, it doesn't ask us, work out how much she can save if she sticks with this budget. But I don't think she's included everything she actually has to pay for. What has she left out? Certainly not everything in here would suit our lives now. For a start, there's no phone or internet costs in there. And I think really that's pretty unrealistic at this point. There is no entertainment. So based on this budget, she's never going anywhere and never buying anything. And that's unrealistic. What else do you think? You might come up with some other things. There is lots of other things she could be paying for. Does she never travel anywhere else? She's only got her travel to and from work included in here. And I think that that's probably pretty unrealistic. There's no gifts for anyone. Is this a reasonable budget is something I want you to always consider. It might be reasonable for her, but I think probably not realistically. Is this reasonable? So think about that when you're making a budget. Okay, so now that you've done all of this, the exercises we're going to do in class is exercise 10.4, questions 1 to 5. I also want you to do the A-level questions if you're looking for a Great Ink grade. What we're going to do next lesson is budgeting for a car or a holiday. So it would be a good idea. In fact, it's really important that you look at that for homework, look at the next screencast, and then we will move on. Okay, see you in class.